Real estate is just creating connections, building relationships and, giving. Because the more you give, people are going to want to give back to you. I couldn't even go to Woolworths without everybody wanting to talk about the market. They've opened the conversation, not you. So it's an awesome opportunity just to turn around and say to them, yeah, the market's incredibly good at the moment. So if you do know of anybody that might be thinking about selling or needs some assistance, I would love you to pass on my details.
You're listening to Elevate, the official podcast of Elite Agent for real estate industry sales professionals, property managers and leaders. We are proud to present Courageous Conversations, a podcast series focusing on the tough decisions people have made to put themselves on a pathway to success. This episode is brought to you by Connect Now, who makes the business of moving easier for both you and your clients. For more information, visit connectnow.com.au. Please welcome your host, Leanne Pilkington.
Hey everyone, Leanne Pilkington for the latest episode of Courageous Conversations, and with me, my friend Marnie Beauchamp. Hi Marnie, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, going really well. Now,
That's
you and I have actually only known each other for about, I reckon it's been about a year. It was sort of around about lockdown last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And since,
March, I think. Yeah, March, April. Yeah.
Yeah, and since then, you've just become part of our family. You're doing so much work with the team at Lang & Simmons, and I've known you've got an incredible history in and around the real estate, the real estate space, but yeah, a little bit more drama back there than I realised. So I do, if it's okay, want to talk about some of the challenges that you've had, because that's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
It's really easy to look at someone like you, who's doing really well in their coach, because you are a coach and a trainer. You're doing some incredible programs with my team at Lang & Simmons and so many others.
Yeah,
it's really easy for people to look at you and go, wow, she's really got it all together. But it's taken you a long time to get back, right?
It's taken me a long time, and yeah, it hasn't always been smooth sailing, unfortunately. No. So people do have that perception, and you just don't talk a lot about the challenges and things that you've had over the years. And so there's only, really a handful of people that kind of know my I guess my real story.
What your real story is, yeah.
Yeah, but, at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing, agreeing to share it with us today. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And as I say, I think it's really important for people to understand what some of us have been through to get to, the happy, smiley people we are today.
That's it.
So you started, you were working in property development for about 5 years, right, before you got into resi sales?
I was, yeah. So I moved to Kiama from Sydney, and I went to a recruitment agency and ended up getting a job with a property developer. So real estate wasn't actually even on my radar, to be honest with you. I didn't even know anything about real estate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a really good opportunity to get into something which was fairly exciting.
And then 92, you got into resi sales?
Yes. So I did the 5 years with him, and then I kind of got headhunted. I was looking for a property myself in Kiama and walked into an agency where one of my TAFE teachers was working. So he was running the agency, and he offered me a job next day.
And within a couple of years, you bought into that business?
Yes, I did.
Fast mover.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things when it's kind of crazy when. So my dad actually bought a business, his first business, when I was about 12.
Yeah.
And, I was very close to my dad, and I always wanted to be doing whatever he did. And so every weekend, every school holidays, I would go to work with him, hang around, probably be very annoying, answer phones, whatever I could do. And so, in school, people would sort of say to me, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? And for me, it was, I want to own my own business.
Yeah, right.
And they'd say, what doing? And I actually had absolutely no idea at that point. So it was kind of weird when the opportunity came up.
Yeah.
I just grabbed it. I didn't even think twice. I kind of just said, yeah, let's do it. And then I made it fit, made it work after that.
Made it work. And you did pretty well.
Yeah, we did. So we ended up the number one agent in the area. So I inherited 12 staff and one rent roll, and then there was another agency in town selling. So I bought their rent roll as well. So I bought, the agency plus another rent roll. went to the bank, had no idea what I was doing, and, asked for some money. And basically we were looking to buy, a house at the time, and probably couldn't do both. So it was a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying to me, what's your plan B? And I just looked at him and must have looked a bit confused. So he said, if this doesn't work out. And I said, there is no plan B. And I literally never had a plan B. It was going
burn
to work.
Burn the boats, as they say, burn the boats, right?
100%, yeah. And, I went in, I had 12 staff that I inherited straight away, all older than me, much more experience than me. So it was a little bit challenging to find my way and to sort of gain their trust.
Sure.
But I did, and it was awesome. As I said, we got to number one alongside another agency. It was kind of like we tit for tat each week.
Yeah, fantastic. And you had 2 young kids at that time?
I did. I had a newborn and a 2-year-old.
A newborn and a 2-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of maternity leave in your life?
None. No. I think I had 2 weeks off with the first child, and then the second I had 3 months, but I was actually working from home during that 3 months and still doing appraisals and things. So yeah. So no, not much time at all.
Nice. So things started to go a little bit pear-shaped from there. What happened?
So I ended up finding myself going through a divorce when the girls were 3 and 5. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like at that time I needed to take a bit of downtime and spend some time with them.
Yep.
So I made the decision to sell the business, and I was just happy to go have a break and then continue on as a contract agent. And I went down that path, and unfortunately I did have a little bit of time left on my franchise agreement, which I was quite happy to pay out as was the I guess the clause in the agreement. But unfortunately, there'd been a lot of other officers that left that particular franchise around the same time, and I was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Is that the right saying?
Yeah, that's the right saying. Yep.
Yeah. And so I pretty much was attempted to make an example of So
what did that look like? What did he do?
So he tried to sue me for damages, and the dollar amount at the time was $1 million.
Okay, and we're going back about, 15 years or more now, right?
2005, the beginning of 2005.
Yeah.
So a long time ago, and it's a lot of money now, but you can imagine those days, it was horrendous. There was no houses in Kiama even worth that. Yeah. It was incredibly hard, because when somebody sues you or somebody attacks you like that, you have no choice but to defend yourself. So I literally couldn't do anything except get caught up, in this vortex and get dragged through Supreme Court. It's, as a franchisor, I've got some experience in this space, right? Seems bizarre to me that you ended up in the Supreme Court when you only had such a short period of time left to go on your franchise agreement and you were okay to pay. It was because so many others were leaving and he was blaming you as the reason that the brand was falling apart? Or well, because they had lost, I think, 6 or 7 offices that year. I didn't actually choose to go to that other brand. It was the buyer of my business was already trading as that brand. So they, obviously wanted to rebrand. Yeah. So it was extreme and nobody understood it. I had so many people in the industry contacting me and asking me what the hell was happening and why. And I couldn't explain it either. I just had no idea. And all I knew was that I was getting dragged into court. I had to get a Queen's Counsel barrister to compete, which was $11,000 a day. I had my own solicitor, accountant, everything that I needed. He also put an injunction on me so that I couldn't work. So basically the contract with the people that bought my business was that I could only work for them. And then he put an injunction on me so that I couldn't work for them. Oh, I literally went, not only was I splurging money that I didn't have at a very fast rate of knots, I was also not earning anything. So I was incapable of working. It just, as I can't even sort of really explain the what that did to me. I just, in the end, I had nothing, and like mentally, physically, or financially. It didn't actually end with a result in that I just didn't have the money to keep fighting, and the judge was getting very frustrated because he could see that it was really a case that wasn't really didn't have much foundation.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking advice and putting my company into voluntary administration.
Yeah.
The company had no assets or debt, so it sort of made sense because it was the company mainly that he was suing.
Yeah.
So I made that decision, which was very hard for me. The company was named after my children, and it was like my pride and joy. It was something that I had worked so hard and wanted for such a long time. So I ended up buying the company out in the end. It cost me about $110,000 extra just to do that. We went to mediation we started at 9 o'clock in the morning and finished at midnight. I was skin and bones. I had a breakdown. It was just the most difficult time because, as I said, I just couldn't. I was trying to look after my kids and be there for them.
Yeah.
So
the kids were like 3 and 5.
They were 3 and 5, yeah.
And how long did the court case go? How long did it go on for?
6 months.
Right. Wow.
And he admitted eventually in mediation that he was trying to make an example of me, and that was pretty much the only thing that came out of it. Which was just such a shame because I know that, he walked away struggling financially as well. But for me, I literally remember, at a point I'd sold everything and I was still paying off debt for years. But I remember sitting in the park with my girls and all they wanted was an ice cream, and I couldn't even buy them an ice cream. I had $1.76 in my bank account. And I had to borrow money off my parents for groceries, had to move in with them for a while. So it was pretty hard when you've worked, so hard to get to where you are, and then, that
you
happened.
lose everything. I can't even imagine how that must have felt. But I mean, looking back, I can say I'm sorry to upset you. I feel terrible.
No, it's okay.
Getting you to talk about it, to be honest. But you must be so proud of where you are now. Yeah,
I am. I'm extremely proud, really. But it's just, I don't know. I think I lost so much during that time that now for me, I just, it's like when I do things, there's always that, it's really weird. There's an underlying fear, like, okay, something great's happening and I'm hitting these goals and stuff. So what's going to happen? I know it sounds silly and it's
no, it doesn't sound silly at all. I completely understand it. Whereas if I was you, I would be thinking, I've had all the bad stuff that I'm going to have. Yeah. Everything's going to be good from here. So
that's it. Well, that's the way I've got to look at it. I've got to turn my mind. But yeah, I feel like I've come an incredibly long way. After that, got sorted. I was driving home with my dad, and one of the last things I remember him saying to me was, "Man, you did it. You did it once. You can do it again.
Do it again.
So don't ever doubt yourself." And he said to me, "Nobody did that but you. You got to where you were. You created it. And yes, somebody's taken that off you, so to speak, at this point in time, but they'll never take off you, your ability and your belief in yourself." So that's the thing that really got me back up again. But after, obviously after all this happened, as you know, Leanne, my dad died, very suddenly. So that was only a month after the court case finished.
But he hung in there for you until to get you through the court case, right?
He did. He was there every day, driving me to court, picking up the pieces, picking me up off the floor when I needed it.
Literally picking you up off the floor.
Literally picking me up off the floor when I was in the fetal position, just not wanting to face life anymore. And he picked me up and took me up to their place and looked after my kids and just gave me the space I needed.
So how did you get back on your feet after all that?
Well, I was lucky that I had a couple of incredible friends. One who has been my best friend since we were 4 years old, and the other one, her and I've been friends now for about 25 years. And they just never left my side. So, I'm so thankful for them. But I just knew at the end of the day, I just knew that nobody else could do it but me. So I had no choice. At the end, it was either do it or stay like this. And I could have left the industry. I could have, gone and gotten a job somewhere else that was just going to give me a weekly pay, because at that point I was on contract as well. So, I wasn't getting a retainer or anything. I had to perform. I had to put a smile on my face. I had to face the world, and so makeup and heels and nice clothing became my facade, my persona. That enabled me to get out there and just try and do it again. But so basically, I obviously had to take a bit of time. But as I said, I didn't have anything, and that wasn't fair on my daughters either to for them not to have our own home and stuff like that. So I went back to work, and I was very, very fortunate that the lady who bought my business, who's an amazing woman, was just so supportive of me.
Yeah.
And gave me the space and was there when I had to go home on the days that I just couldn't cope to help out. But yeah, I made that decision that I wanted to do it for me, for my girls, for the rest of my family, and for my dad. So I picked up the pieces and I just got out there and I just did the work. And I obviously started, so that the franchise that bought my business was Ray White, and they do their rankings in city, metro, regional. So we were regional, and obviously at that point I don't even remember what number it was, like 784 or something crazy, because I was starting with nothing. And then within the space of the next award, so it was just over a year, I got to number 12 in the state. Wow,
that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's that is massive. Massive effort and a real lesson to everybody, right? Once you make up your mind why you're doing it, you're doing it for your girls. Your girls deserve, deserve everything you can give them.
Yes,
it's amazing what you can actually do.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
And it's true. And this is what I say to people all the time now. You've got to find your why. You've got to know why you get out of bed every day, and because it is a hard industry, and being commission only contract, I didn't get leads or anything. I just had to make them and find them. And I was lucky. I'd been working there for a while, and it was a nice small community.
Sounds like you had a lot of luck in your career. Yep.
I don't even know what luck is.
Exactly.
But yeah, look, as I said, at the end of the day, I did it, and I felt when I got to that point, I knew that the sky was the limit again for me, and that there was nobody and no thing that was ever going to stop me from doing what I wanted to do again. I had those moments where I thought, no, excuse the French, but effort. I was leaving the industry. I don't want to do this anymore. It's all too hard. And, and then I just went, you know what? No way. That's not going to beat me. And that's always my thing. I'll go in head first, and then I just sort out the details after. It's always been the way I've been. I don't go into things thinking, oh, look, I'll try, and if it doesn't work out, then we'll do something else. It's always like, I'm just going to do it. And I did, and I swore at that time I wouldn't go into business again, and I swore I would never join a franchise. And I did both. But
it ended up okay.
It ended up incredible. I started from scratch this time. I didn't buy an existing business.
And was that down? Where was that?
It was in Kiama again.
Kiama, yeah.
So I opened an office again, and originally that was as LJ Hooker, and I had me and one other staff member, and I just worked my butt off. Like the first 2 weeks, I think I got 22 listings. I just was on the phones, ringing everybody I knew, developers, just trying to get some stock. And then, fast forward to 8 years later, I had 2 offices. I had another one in Berry. I was with McGrath at that time, and I had 20 staff at my peak, and still, obviously sole carer for my girls, and doing, everything that you do in life alongside that, which is, everything from picking up dog poop, putting the bins out, washing and cleaning and shopping and homework and trying
Sounds
to
very
get
glamorous,
there.
Marnie.
Oh, so glamorous. so glamorous. And sometimes I'd be like, you know, toddling around the yard in my heels going, oh God, I forgot to do that today. I'm sure the Garbo got a bit of a laugh sometimes.
I can imagine. And
out,
so how long ago did you get out of actually being an agent?
So I sold the office in Berry in 2016.
Why did you do that?
I just found that it was really difficult. I've always been the sole director, owner, and a selling principal, and the main income earner, basically. And I just found it, so Berry's a regional, rural farms, absolutely amazing area. And obviously Kiama's the beaches, which I loved. So I had 2 wardrobes, by the way.
I can relate to that.
I couldn't be running around on 100-acre properties with leeches and snakes in my heels. So I had my Berry wardrobe, I had my Kiama wardrobe. Yeah. But I just found it was really difficult to manage the 2 of them, and because they were such different areas. And, you know, with Berry, we did all the way down the coast through to Kangaroo Valley. Some of the bigger properties, you know, one inspection would take 5 hours. And so I just made the decision, and I'd lost some focus on Kiama and, you know, a bit of market share. So I just thought that the best thing would be to let that one go. I also, unfortunately, after my dad passed away, my mum got quite sick, and she had like an autoimmune disease, which they think was brought on by grief. We don't know, but she'd never been sick before. I don't even remember my mum being sick growing up. She was such a strong woman. So she was going through a lot, and I was spending a lot of time taking her to medical appointments and specialists and things. And so I just kind of needed to be more in Kiama where she was. And the girls were a bit older. And so I was, you know, mum's taxi, constantly driving them around after school and things. And I just, so I made that decision that I'll let that one go. And, you know, we'd created a great business there, and we, you know, had really good market share by then. And focus back onto Kiama, and I did that. And then at the end of mid 2017, my mum passed away. So that was kind of the final point where I just, you know, she was always very worried about just me with stress and things like that. And so I kind of got to that point where I thought, you know what, it's almost like they were my anchor in Kiama because I moved there for them, and I just felt like I just needed a change. I just needed to be doing something else, and you just kind of start to reevaluate life a bit when those things happen. You know, they were both young and certainly fit and healthy. So I felt like it was time for me to, you know, get some space, and being in a small town, everybody knows you, everybody knows your business, and that's not a bad thing all the time, but sometimes it can get quite suffocating. And
well, everybody knows your story, and if you don't want to have to relive that story over and over again, you have to go somewhere where they don't know your story, right? So
exactly.
Now you've just shared it with everybody, so
the whole world just knows that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, look, I've had some time now, and I've kind of just recouped. But it just felt like it was time. And as I said, you know, my main links, I've still got family and some absolutely amazing friends. They're all my staff had always been great friends of mine, and I miss everybody a lot. But I just felt like it was really time, and I'd been wanting to move into the coaching space, and that's what I loved. I loved training up new team members, you know, from scratch, and I'd wanted to get into that space. And obviously, you know, down there, we didn't have Zoom and all that kind of thing then. And it just felt like it was a little bit more, even though everybody knew me and it would have been easy to build my business, I just wanted to explore the big bad world, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you did, because we absolutely love working with you, and the feedback that I get from my people that are working with you absolutely love what you do. And I should actually, I don't usually do this on this, but on this podcast, but I should give your training, your new agent training, a bit of a plug, because the feedback, I know you just did it for my team, and the feedback's been absolutely wonderful. So if anybody out there has got new team members, reach out to Marnie, because it's definitely, she's definitely got a lot of value to add, particularly for our newbies that don't always get the love and attention that they need, right?
Well, that's part of the reason why I've developed this particular program, is because for me, I recognised as a business owner and a selling principal that was the hardest thing. You know, you want to bring on new people, you want to grow your team, and you need to do that. But trying to put the time and the love and the energy into them that they need is really, really hard. So, I just thought if I could develop something that they can get all the groundwork and the framework done and, get them on their way. So they do it. They actually did, your team, I loved working with your team. The workshop we did, we had a lot of fun with the role play. So just doing role play presentations with new people and stuff like that. It's so much harder to do it in that situation. And once you've done it in that situation, you literally can do it anywhere as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. So what would be the best advice you would give somebody who was thinking about starting in real estate, no matter their age?
Oh, I think definitely try and find a mentor, somebody that can help you. And it could just be somebody in the office. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the principal. If you know somebody else in the industry or somebody in that office, do some role play with them, ask them if you can come along to some listing presentations and listen and just learn. I think also something that an agent that I worked with did that I think is to me, it's just the perfect thing. I don't know why we all didn't do it. But he just went around to all of his family and friends, because it's like anything. You don't want to go and, if you're a surgeon, you're not going to start practicing on a patient. Right? You learn first and you hone your skills and stuff. So he just contacted all his family and friends and anybody that they knew of that was happy for him to do it. And he just went and did appraisals, did the calls, touched base with them, practiced his scripts on lead gen, and then went in and sat down and did market appraisals for everybody.
That's actually a great idea. Yeah, you're right. You know why people don't do it? They're embarrassed. They don't want to make a fool of themselves in front of their friends and their family. But you're right, that's gold.
Well, they're the ones that are the most forgiving of you, right? And they're the ones that are going to give you the most honest feedback. Yeah. So, if you can do it in front of your friends and family, then put you in front of a client and you're just going to fly. It's so much easier. So, I would say do some of that and then, just get on the phones. But so many people these days are a little bit scared of door knocking, and obviously with COVID we can't do it.
Yeah, door knocking is not a great idea at the moment, right?
Yeah. You probably get people like just
bombarding the door,
barricading the doors. Yeah, we can't do that. But there's a lot of scripts and dialogues that I have for that, which is so easy. They're not asking for anything. They're just providing information. And for me, that's what it's all about. Yeah. Real estate is just creating connections, building relationships, and giving. Because the more you give, people are going to want to give back to you. I couldn't even go to Woolworths without everybody wanting to talk about the market. They've opened the conversation, not you. So it's an awesome opportunity just to turn around and say to them, the market's incredibly good at the moment. So if you do know of anybody that might be thinking about selling or needs some assistance, I would love you to pass on my details, because people forget the power of referrals. Every time a property settles, or literally, sorry, not settles, I do it on exchange, but whenever a property exchanges, how often do people say when they get their reviews and their testimonials, actually, it was awesome dealing with you. And, I've really enjoyed everything. And if you're happy with the service, if you do know of anybody else that's thinking about selling or buying that I could assist, please let me know. I'd love to speak to them.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time to do it when they're at their high. Just exchange their property. And as soon as you start to do that, you'll find that you'll just start to get into, more doors. And when it's a referral, the trust factor is already there. You've got a proven track record. Yeah. So, they're the easier ones to convert. And, my business in the end, I didn't take anything new. I gave everything to my team, but I was still the number one agent, for a couple of years there. And I would say 80% of my business was repeat referral. So, if you do build that network of referral system and stuff, it just makes life so much easier.
I couldn't agree more. And I know from the team members of mine that you've worked with, they have said that the conversations that you encourage them to have out there in the market just feel a lot more authentic to them than some of the conversations maybe that they were having. So I think that's really what real estate is all about, as you say, making those authentic connections with people.
100% honest, tell the truth and actually care. The more empathy you have for people, empathy is one of those emotions that people can actually feel. Yeah. So if you go in, always lead with empathy. I always lead with a compliment. With everybody, every appraisal, every call you make, you should always, thank them for their time. Yeah. It's just so important. But you're 100% right. It's just about engaging with people and building that connection with them.
Absolutely.
I said, if they like you, they're going to trust you.
That's right. As Michael Schigold always says, people want to do business with people they like, know and trust.
100%.
So, yeah.
Totally agree.
Thank you for going through that story. Like I said at the beginning, it's really important to know everybody's got a story. We don't know what goes on in other people's lives because most of the time we don't want to share it with you, right? So thank you.
100%. And for me, unfortunately, I did, I felt a bit, I'm not going to say shame, but it's just one of those stories that I didn't feel like it would help people. But then, the few people that I have told, it's helped incredibly because they said, it just shows that, you don't have to give up.
That's right.
Go through these hard challenges, and all it does is build resilience. It actually makes you stronger because you know the hard yards. You know when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way to go. That's up.
Absolutely. And look at you go, girl. Look at you go.
Thank you.
It's been lovely spending time with you as always. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in a Lang & Simmons classroom very soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. See you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Courageous Conversations with thanks to connectnow.com.au. Don't forget to get access to all of Elite Agency's premium resources, including a detailed episode guide for this podcast. Visit joineliteagent.com.